The OG Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is easily one of my favorite games ever. It wasn't my first entry into the Elder Scrolls series, no. That would actually be the original Xbox version of Morrowind. It was honestly a crazy game back when I was a kid, since I had never seen anything quite like it. I played other open world stuff, of course, like the Grand Theft Auto games and what have you, but there was something about Morrowind that I found amazing. This huge fantasy world with role-playing elements and tons of people that you could interact with. Unfortunately, the scope of Morrowind was hard for my underdeveloped brain to comprehend. I had no idea what I was doing in it, so I just run around and massacre people. I'll be real, to this day I've unfortunately never completed Morrowind. Mainly because I'm lazy, but whatever. Years had passed since my exposure to Morrowind, and there was a new Xbox on the horizon with the 360. This would be where I played Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion for the first time, and oh man. Right from the start, the game blasts you with the most epic opening title screen in existence. And when you finally begin, after creating your character, you're thrown into a story where you witness the assassination of the Emperor Uriel Septim VII, which leads to you being tasked with delivering his amulet to an organization called the Blades, and finding the last remaining heir to the throne. The entire main story revolves around the Oblivion crisis, with a cult called the Mythic Dawn opening up gates to the plains of Oblivion across Tamriel. What I've always appreciated about Oblivion, and really all the Elder Scrolls games that I've played, is that every playthrough could feel unique. With Oblivion, you had this big old colorful fantasy world that was gigantic and felt like it had so many freedoms. Just by running around and taking the time to explore, you could always find something new too. It was always incredible just running around some path and seeing what kind of things you could come across. This is something that stuck with me through the years and made it a lot more difficult to appreciate other open world games, because it always felt like Bethesda raised the bar for what you should expect when it came to open world games. Oblivion had a living, breathing world with NPCs who had their own routines of doing things like eating, working, sleeping, and all that. They had daily routines, something that a lot of games don't bother with. It's just little things like this that make you feel more immersed when you're traveling the world. Nowadays, the OG Oblivion isn't anything that'll blow you away by any means, but the game is still great and holds a lot of nostalgia, especially towards myself. That being said, I always wanted to see the game get remastered, though since it had been so long, I had lost hope of ever seeing that. And after so many re-releases of Skyrim over the years, I have to admit, I never thought I'd see my favorite game in the series get the same treatment. I saw the leaks and what have you, but I still didn't believe it until I actually saw it from Bethesda. Well, color me surprised when they actually shadow dropped the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster. Damn. Bro, I saw this and I was like, yeah, I need this in my life. Let me start off by saying here that there are differences between both games, mainly with things like the addition of sprint, an overhauled leveling system, more voice acting, and updated graphics. Other than that, it's exactly how you might remember it if you've played the original, as the overarching narrative of the main story and side quests are exactly the same. I mean, hell, even a lot of the awkward conversations are still here.
Rona, my dear, it's time to wake up.
What? Janice, please, no. Oh, let me sleep. Oh, please let me sleep.
It's all right. It's all right. I've come to give you peace at last.
I can rest. Truly.
Yes, my dear. Just drink this, and it will all be better.
Oh, Janice, thank you. Thank you for saving me.
There are also a few added side quests with the deluxe edition of the game, though the rewards are kinda meh. It's just some armor that I honestly didn't even bother using, but it is sort of handy if you want that extra advantage. After spending like 75 hours getting all of the achievements in the Oblivion remaster, I feel like I can finally talk about it here. First of all, story. Like I said, nothing's changed here. You still begin as a prisoner, which you can fully customize to your liking, and you're still tasked with the same old stuff. Deliver the Emperor's Amulet, find his heir, help stop the Oblivion crisis. Easy enough, right? Well, I think that Oblivion's story is okay. I always found the side faction stuff to be the most appealing thing about the game. You have stuff like the Imperial City Arena, which is a coliseum that you can fight in to make money, but you also have the guilds. There's the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Thieves Guild, and the Dark Brotherhood.
You sleep rather soundly for a murderer. That's good. You'll need a clear conscience for what I'm about to propose.
All of them have their own unique narratives too. Additionally, the remaster also includes the Knights of the Nine DLC, which is a religious faction. Again, this also has its own storyline, though I've always been pretty mixed on it. But hey, at least you get some sweet armor. I think my favorite out of all of them is really the Dark Brotherhood questline, which is basically assassination missions for money. All these faction questlines end with you becoming the leader of them, some of which have their own unique perks and rewards to them as well. Outside of the factions, the game also offers a ton of side quests too. Some of my favorites include stuff like buying this haunted house that you end up needing to find a way to lift the curse of. This other quest where you fall asleep in an inn that's on a ship that gets hijacked by these Blackwater brigand dudes who are trying to find something called the Golden Galleon, which leads to you needing to stop them. Another one where this Argonian gets kidnapped by a bunch of cultists in a settlement that's located in the middle of nowhere. And this other side quest where you gotta save a dude from a painting world. Honestly, the side quests in this game are all really good and help add to what makes Oblivion so appealing. They aren't just like forgettable fluff quests for gold and experience points or anything like that. They all have their own interesting tales that makes you want to actually do them and see what kind of stuff happens. In addition to that, and probably the best side quest that you can actually do, there's the Daedric Shrine quests. Now I'll be honest, some of these are super useful and others are eh. I always made it a priority to get the quests from Azura and Nocturnal as early as possible. Azura rewards the player with the Azura Star, which acted like a permanent soul gem that you could refill and reuse, something that's super beneficial, especially when it comes to enchanting gear. And Nocturnal gives you the Skeleton Key, which is an unbreakable lockpick that, in my opinion, is the most useful Daedric artifact that you could get, since the lockpicking in Oblivion isn't really that great. So what else is there in the Oblivion remaster? Well, like I said, it adds all the DLCs that were ever released for the game. A lot of them were like extra player homes and what have you, and that meme horse armor. Nothing too special, though I feel that the houses were at least more interesting than the ones that you could purchase in the base game. But it wasn't just Knights of the Nine or the houses and stuff. There was actually one big DLC that added a big extra map for you to explore in the Shivering Isles expansion. In the Shivering Isles, you enter the realm of Sheogorath, who's seeking a champion to help him prevent the Grey March, which is a repeating event where the realm is destroyed by the Daedric Prince of Order, Jigalag. Not really a lot to say with this one, but Sheogorath does say some pretty funny stuff.
I'm so happy I could just tear out your intestines and strangle you with them. I suppose an introduction is in order. I'm Sheogorath, Prince of Madness, and other things. I'm not talking about them. You've probably figured that out by now. Let's hope so, or we're in real trouble. And out come the intestines, and I skip rope with them.
I will add that the Shivering Isles is packed packed with tons of areas and places to explore. It also adds my favorite weapon in the game, the Dawnfang Dustfang sword, which changes based on what time of day it is. But most importantly, at the end of the expansion, the player becomes a Daedra, inheriting the realm, so that's pretty cool, right? I think I spent like 8 hours playing through the story here, though I think it's possible to get through it quicker. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff to explore with extra side quests to help pad the expansion out, so it's definitely worth diving into. So what else? Well, outside of any narrative related things, like I said, there was changes in the remaster. Most notably, I think, was the leveling system, which was completely overhauled. In the original game, it was kind of hard to max your character since you had to prioritize spreading out leveling certain skills to get more stats. It was honestly easy to mess up if you weren't super strict about it. However, all of this changed in the remaster since it straight up just gives you points that you can allocate, which makes it way easier if you're trying to get all of your stats to 100. I actually prefer this way of leveling, though it is still kind of repetitive to get certain skills leveled up. There are a lot of things that you can do to sort of exploit the game and level quicker, but you really don't necessarily need to since you can just kind of play the game however you want. I don't think it really matters all that much as everything levels with you in Oblivion anyways. Like with other games that I've played on this channel, I feel like I have to at least point out some flaws. Oblivion is by no means perfect, and a lot of things haven't aged too hot. Yeah, it holds a lot of nostalgia for me and it's one of my favorite games ever, but there's some stuff that I don't know, maybe could have been changed or even improved on more. Stuff like the lockpicking is whatever, it sucks, but with the skeleton key, you don't have to really worry about it too much. But there's other stuff that I had issues with. I really hate that the gear in the game breaks so quickly. Like honestly, after a few encounters, I'm just repairing everything non-stop. It sucks because it's more of an annoyance over anything else, especially at higher levels. I would have also liked to have seen more additions to the remaster as well. I mean, come on, we got fishing added to Skyrim after over a decade. All things considered though, I would have liked to have seen dual wielding added to Oblivion. It would have opened up the possibility for more builds and what have you, which I think would have been cool. But hey, at least shield bashing is OP. But all things aside, I do have to add that at the time of writing, there's bigger problems that have yet to have been fixed. The game has issues, particularly on PC with crashing. I think that in the 70 hours that I played the game, I may have seen like 20 plus crashes. I honestly lost count after a while because of the frequency and, well, I was getting annoyed. It really seemed to occur after longer play sessions. This is something that I'd say is the remaster's biggest issue. I think weird bugs like Oblivion gates popping up before stepping foot into Kvatch and missing body parts I can deal with, but crashing like that is a big no-no. Oh, and I also had this weird bug when I was doing the Shivering Isles expansion where my Kvatch armor changed the look of Bruma armor for some reason. I also add, and maybe this is something nitpicky, but I'm not really a fan of the remaster's color palette. There was something vivid about the original game that I really liked, whereas the remaster just looks kind of dull. Not really a huge complaint or problem, but whatever. But anyways, that's all I had to say about the Oblivion remaster. Oblivion holds a special place for me, and it'll always be a game that I cherish. I think going back to it again after so many years through the remaster and seeing all these places and things that I remembered from so long ago felt like a homecoming. I mean, sure, a lot of it is cheesy now, but when the game wasn't as old, it was amazing. I don't know if the remaster is going to be for everyone, and I mean, Oblivion is still on the horizon, and the original has plenty of mods and stuff to keep it more intriguing overall versus the remaster, but it's still a nice trip down memory lane for what it's worth, and it gave me an excuse to replay one of my favorite games, so I have to give it credit for that. Thank you all for watching. What did you think of the Oblivion remaster? Did you play it and did you like it? Tell me what you thought in the comments below and I'll check them out. Also, if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. We'll be back with more soon enough, so stay tuned. Until next time, peace out.